Introduction to Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 1. In classical Vedic astrology, each of the 7 visible planets, Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, is said to govern one of the 7 major tissues of the human body. These are known in Ayurveda as the Sapta Dhatus, or 7 bodily layers, which correspond closely with modern anatomical systems. This concept helps us understand how planetary imbalances can show up as specific health issues, especially when viewed through the lens of the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The sun, Surya, is linked to the skeletal system, or what Ayurveda calls Asthi Dhatu. Bones represent structure, authority, and vitality, exactly the qualities associated with the sun. When the sun is strong in a chart, bones are sturdy, and there's physical and energetic strength. But if the sun is weak or afflicted, especially by Saturn or Rahu, it may lead to conditions like osteoporosis, spinal issues, or brittle bones. As a Pitta-dominant planet, the sun can create heat and inflammation in the skeletal tissues when imbalanced. The moon, Chandra, governs the circulatory and lymphatic systems, referred to in Ayurveda as Rakta Dhatu. It includes blood, plasma, and the emotional fluidity of the body. The moon is Kapha in nature, bringing nourishment, coolness, and stability. When well placed, it supports hormonal health, proper blood flow, and emotional balance. But when the moon is debilitated, like in Scorpio, or afflicted by malefics, it can cause anemia, water retention, hormonal imbalances, or emotional instability, such as anxiety or depression. Mars, Mangala, rules over the bone marrow and nervous tissue, corresponding to Dhatu. This tissue is crucial for immunity, neural function, and even blood production. Mars, being a fiery and aggressive Pitta planet, drives energy and action in the body. A strong Mars gives sharp reflexes and strong immunity, but an afflicted or debilitated Mars, especially in Cancer, can manifest as nerve inflammation, fevers, lowered resistance, or autoimmune disorders due to aggravated internal heat. Mercury, Buddha, governs the plasma and skin, linked to Rasa Dhatu, and also partially to Tvak Dhatu, in Ayurvedic understanding. Plasma helps transport nutrients throughout the body and supports hydration and immunity, while the skin acts as a mirror of internal balance. Mercury is predominantly Vata in nature, but it also carries all 3 doshic qualities, making it highly sensitive to imbalance. When afflicted, Mercury can cause nervous disorders, poor nutrient absorption, skin issues like eczema or rashes, and problems with speech or coordination. Jupiter, Haspada, governs the adipose or fat tissue, known as Meta-dhatu. This tissue stores energy and governs nourishment, metabolic reserve, and hormonal function. Jupiter is a Kapha planet, abundant, nourishing, and expansive. A strong Jupiter maintains healthy weight and metabolism, but if it's afflicted or debilitated, especially in Capricorn, it can lead to excessive weight gain, high cholesterol, diabetes, or fatty liver conditions. Conversely, undernourishment may also be seen if Jupiter is too weak to sustain Meta-dhatu properly. Venus, Shukra, rules over the reproductive tissues and fluids, including semen and ova, tied to Shukra Dhatu. This also extends to kidney function, hormonal regulation, and the health of the eyes and skin. Venus is a Kapha-dominant planet, governing beauty, fertility, and lubrication. When well placed, Venus supports sexual vitality, reproductive health, and aesthetic balance. But if Venus is afflicted, one may suffer from infertility, menstrual irregularities, urinary tract issues, or hormonal acne and skin congestion. Saturn, Shani, presides over the muscular system, especially the structural muscles and joints, which correspond to Mamsa Dhatu. As the most Vata-dominant planet, Saturn is dry, cold, and slow-moving. When strong, it gives resilience, physical endurance, and disciplined movement. But an afflicted Saturn, particularly in Aries or under malefic aspect, can cause rigidity, joint pain, arthritis, muscle fatigue, or chronic disorders tied to degeneration and dryness in the body. Each of these planetary influences doesn't operate in isolation. Their alignment, strength, and mutual aspects in a birth chart determine how the dhatus perform, how the doshas behave, and how resilient or vulnerable the individual is to specific kinds of illness. When we begin to study a chart from this integrated Ayurvedic Jyotish perspective, we don't just see planets. We see layers of the human body responding to cosmic rhythms. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 2, The Sun. The sun or Surya plays a central role in both Vedic astrology and the physical well-being of the body. Classically, Surya is considered the ruler of Asthi Dhatu, which translates to the bone tissue in Ayurvedic medicine. This includes not only the skeletal system, bones, joints, and teeth, but also the structural strength and vitality that holds the entire body together. Just as the sun is the gravitational anchor of our solar system, in the human system, it provides the foundational framework that sustains upright posture, movement, and resilience. Parashara, one of the foremost sages of Jyotisha, describes the sun as governing the bones, the heart, the stomach, and the right eye. These are not random associations. They all represent core systems of vitality. The bones support physical structure, the heart pumps life force, the stomach transforms food into energy, and the right eye represents clarity of perception and direction. When the sun is strong in a chart, especially when exalted in Aries, it typically bestows strong bone density, robust immunity, sharp vision, and energetic endurance. In Ayurvedic physiology, the sun is a Pitta graha, meaning it embodies the fire element. This fire supports digestion, metabolism, and cellular transformation. It also governs bone marrow, which produces blood, a key link between structure and vitality. When Surya's heat is balanced, it strengthens bone formation and circulatory function. However, if Pitta becomes excessive, or if Vata, air and dryness, coexist in a disturbed form, the result can be brittle bones, inflammation of joints, or spinal issues, especially in dry, aging bodies. An afflicted sun, particularly when it's conjunct or aspected by malefics like Saturn, Rahu, or Ketu, or when it's debilitated in Libra, may lead to specific health vulnerabilities. Common issues include osteoporosis, degenerative spinal conditions, heart irregularities, hypertension, and vision problems in the right eye. This affliction often plays out as a decline in stamina, weakened immunity, or a sense of internal depletion, even if outwardly the person appears strong. Psychologically, a weak sun affects confidence, willpower, and vitality, which further suppresses the body's inner fire, or Agni. This suppression can result in poor metabolism and slow recovery from illness, especially those related to structural integrity, like fractures or slipped discs. In this way, the spiritual significance of the sun as the Atmakaraka, or soul significator, becomes physical. When purpose or direction is lost, the body may literally collapse or falter in structure. When the sun is exalted in Aries, its fire is disciplined and purposeful. Aries, being ruled by Mars, gives physical drive and energy to the sun's radiance. Individuals with this placement often enjoy strong bones, high vitality, resistance to fatigue, and a quick recovery rate. On the flip side, when the sun is in Libra, its sign of debilitation, its internal light dims. Libra's airy and balancing nature can weaken bone formation, reduce inner strength, and make the individual more prone to structural injuries or chronic fatigue. From a doshic perspective, the sun's impact depends on how Pitta is managed in the system. Balanced Pitta gives clarity, focus, and strength. Excess Pitta burns out the system, while deficient Pitta weakens digestion and bone regeneration. The connection between Surya and Asthi Dhatu shows us that vitality is not just about energy levels, but also about how firmly we're grounded, both physically and spiritually. So when analyzing a chart for health potential, the placement, dignity, and aspects to the sun can reveal a lot about the person's skeletal strength, cardiovascular health, digestive fire, and overall vitality. In Jyotish and Ayurveda, the sun is not just a source of energy, it is the architect of our inner foundation. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 3, the Moon. In the subtle architecture of the human body as seen through Jyotish, Chandra, the moon, plays a nurturing and regulating role. The moon governs Rakta Dhatu, which in Ayurvedic terms refers to blood and associated body fluids, including plasma, lymph, and the menstrual and reproductive secretions in women. Just as the moon influences the tides, it also governs the internal rhythms and fluid balance of the body, keeping everything in sync and nourished. Chandra is classified as a Kapha graha, embodying the qualities of earth and water, cool, moist, stable, and nurturing. These qualities show up physically through the moon's rulership over the lymphatic system, the circulatory fluid matrix, mucous membranes, and female reproductive organs like the uterus and ovaries. It also governs the breasts, the left eye, and emotional regulation. This connection between bodily fluids and emotional rhythms is key. When the moon is balanced, emotions flow easily, and so do the fluids within the body. When the moon is strong and well-placed, especially exalted in Taurus, it brings emotional steadiness, strong blood circulation, balanced hormonal cycles, and fluid nourishment to every tissue. It supports fertility, lactation, immunity, and the body's cooling mechanisms. Women with a powerful moon often have regular cycles, healthy ovulation, and good reproductive strength. For all individuals, a strong moon enhances intuition, memory, and emotional intelligence. On the other hand, a weak or afflicted moon, especially when debilitated in Scorpio, can cause a range of fluid-related disorders. This includes water retention, edema, anemia, hormonal disturbances, sinus congestion, or even asthma. In such cases, the moon's cooling quality turns sluggish or congested, causing the body to hold on to excess kapha. Psychological symptoms may follow: mood swings, heightened sensitivity, anxiety, or emotional withdrawal, what classical texts describe as manaschaya, or shadowed mental states. Since the moon governs plasma and lymph, its disturbance often appears as swelling, bloating, sluggish immunity, or unresolved toxins in the body. In women, menstrual irregularities, premenstrual syndrome, or ovarian cysts often have a lunar component, especially if the moon is conjunct with malefics like Saturn, Rahu, or Mars. Even psychosomatic disorders can trace their roots back to a disturbed or unsupported moon. Another key area influenced by the moon is the mind and its stability. In Ayurveda, the moon is closely connected with sattva, or the quality of clarity and harmony in the mind. When the moon is afflicted, the mind may become restless, over-emotional, or confused. In contrast, a strong moon cultivates emotional resilience, maternal instincts, and a calm yet responsive nervous system. The moon's exaltation in Taurus provides a solid, earthy base for its watery qualities to express themselves. This leads to good hydration, regulated blood sugar, and fertility. But when it's debilitated in Scorpio, a sign ruled by Mars, its emotional softness is overwhelmed by intensity, leading to hormonal chaos, disturbed sleep, and psycho-emotional pressure that often somatizes in the body's fluid systems. Understanding the moon's condition in a birth chart can reveal deep insights about a person's emotional patterns, hydration, hormonal health, and circulatory strength. It's not just about how one feels, it's about how well one's inner waters are flowing, both physically and emotionally. The moon teaches us that stability comes not from hardness, but from rhythm, nourishment, and connection to inner tides. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 4, Mars. Mars, or Mangala, in Vedic astrology is the powerhouse of physical energy, stamina, and internal drive, but its connection to the body goes deeper than just muscular strength. According to classical Ayurvedic Jyotish frameworks, Mars governs Majjadhat, which refers to bone marrow and the nervous tissue. This makes Mars responsible for both our immune strength and the vitality of our nervous system, influencing how we react, recover, and regulate inner pressure. Bone marrow, governed by Majjadhatu, is crucial because it produces red blood cells and supports the immune system. But Mars doesn't stop there. He also has influence over the liver, spleen, and blood volume, all organs and functions tied to purification, vitality, and metabolic fire. Parashara mentions that Mars rules the nerve tissue, blood, specifically hemoglobin, the liver, spleen, head, and eyebrows, highlighting its Pitta nature, which is all about heat, sharpness, and transformation. In the Ayurvedic system, Mars is a Pitta graha, dominated by the fire element. When Mars is strong and exalted in Capricorn, this fire is contained and productive. Such individuals usually have high energy, quick nerve responses, strong immunity, and the ability to fight off infections. Their internal heat supports healthy marrow, vibrant blood production, and rapid healing from physical injuries. It also provides emotional courage and a sharp, decisive mind. However, when Mars is afflicted or debilitated, particularly in Cancer, its fire becomes scattered or suppressed. In such cases, we often see nervous disorders, inflammation of the marrow, lowered immunity, and circulatory imbalances. It can show up as frequent fevers, skin rashes, headaches, hypertension, or even blood disorders like anemia, depending on other planetary factors. Mars, when overheated, may also lead to Pitta-type imbalances, such as ulcers, infections, or excessive aggression and irritability. Another area where Mars shows its influence is in injuries and accidents. Since it governs sharp movement and reflexes, a weak or misaligned Mars may make a person prone to cuts, burns, or traumas. At a deeper level, its control over the nervous system means that any instability in Mars can result in neuralgia, spasms, or conditions like epilepsy or sciatica. This is especially true when Mars is in difficult houses or aspected by malefics like Saturn or Rahu. Mars also plays a vital role in psychological stamina. Just as the nervous system responds to stress, Mars determines how much pressure we can bear. A strong Mars gives boldness and resilience under pressure, while a weak Mars can lead to emotional exhaustion, irritability, or burnout. This psychophysical connection is especially evident in individuals who experience chronic fatigue or nervous sensitivity under duress. In terms of dosha, Mars feeds the fire of Pitta. Balanced Mars creates healthy metabolism and blood circulation, while imbalanced Mars causes inflammation, overheating, and depletion of energy. This is why Ayurvedic treatment for Mars-related issues often involves calming the internal fire through cooling herbs, pitta-pacifying diets, and grounding lifestyle routines. So, when analyzing Mars in a birth chart, we're not just looking at courage or competitiveness. We're seeing the root of vitality, the quality of blood and marrow, the strength of nerves, and the ability to withstand both physical and emotional heat. When Mars is balanced, it brings endurance and sharpness. But when it's unstable, it can burn from within. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 5, Mercury. Mercury, or Buddha, in the Ayurvedic and Jyotishic view of the body, is the ruler of Rasa Dhatu, the first and most essential tissue in the formation of life, corresponding to plasma and lymphatic fluid. Rasa is the carrier of nutrients, hydration, and immunity. It flows through every system, nourishing all other tissues. Mercury also governs the skin, eyes, throat, mouth, tongue, and even the forehead, areas associated with perception, expression, and communication. As the most Vata-dominant planet, Buddha embodies the qualities of movement, agility, sensitivity, and intellect. In Ayurveda, Vata governs communication and flow, which perfectly mirrors Mercury's rulership over speech, thought, nervous impulses, and internal messaging between organs and systems. This is why Mercury also relates to the nervous system, and its health directly influences clarity of mind, cognitive speed, and the fine coordination of both body and speech. When Mercury is strong and exalted in Virgo, it brings clarity on every level: sharp intellect, articulate speech, clear skin, stable emotions, and efficient digestion. Rasa flows smoothly, and the body's systems stay hydrated and synchronized. Such individuals often have healthy skin tone, steady nerves, and quick adaptability, both mentally and physically. Their communication is precise, and their memory tends to be excellent. But when Mercury is afflicted or debilitated, particularly in Pisces, the flow of Rasa becomes unstable. This can manifest as poor coordination, mental fog, allergies, digestive instability, or skin problems like eczema, rashes, or hypersensitivity. Since Mercury is linked to the throat and tongue, we also often see issues like stammering, speech delays, sore throats, or difficulty expressing oneself under stress. Psychologically, a weak Buddha can result in anxiety, scattered thoughts, or sensory overload. One of Mercury's unique qualities is that, while primarily Vata, it also contains Pitta and Kapha, making it highly responsive to other planetary influences. This fluidity is a strength when Mercury is supported, but a vulnerability when it's under pressure. For instance, if Mercury is conjunct a fiery planet like Mars, it might lead to inflammatory skin conditions or impulsive speech. If paired with Saturn, it may result in slowed cognition or depressive thoughts. Mercury also governs digestion, not just physical digestion of food, but also mental digestion of experiences and ideas. A weak Mercury may show up as bloating, erratic appetite, food intolerances, or difficulty absorbing nutrients, which directly affects Rasa. In the mental sphere, this can become overthinking, indecision, or racing thoughts without grounding. These symptoms often point toward an imbalance in Vata dosha. Another core area of Mercury's influence is immunity, which is initially formed through Rasa Dhatu. A well-functioning Mercury ensures that the plasma is carrying nutrients efficiently, allowing the immune system to mount clear, measured responses. But a disturbed Mercury may either overreact, allergies, hypersensitivity, or underperform, chronic fatigue, susceptibility to infections, especially if Rasa is not nourished due to poor diet or overstimulation. In chart analysis, Mercury's dignity, aspects, and house placement tell us how well communication, skin health, hydration, and nervous balance are functioning. A strong Mercury gives resilience and responsiveness, but a Mercury under pressure often leaves behind a body that's dry, reactive, or overstimulated, and a mind that's sharp, but frayed. Supporting Mercury, then, is not just about intellect. It's about preserving the flow and intelligence within the body itself. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 6, Jupiter. Jupiter, or Brihaspati, is known in Vedic astrology as the planet of wisdom, expansion, and abundance. But in the context of the human body, Jupiter rules over Dhatu, which refers to fat tissue and metabolic reserves. This includes not just visible fat, but the deeper adipose tissue that cushions organs, fuels growth, and supports hormonal health. Jupiter also governs vital abdominal organs like the liver, spleen, pancreas, stomach, and gallbladder, the key sites for digestion, detoxification, and nutrient assimilation. Being a kapha graha, Jupiter carries the earth-water quality of nourishment, steadiness, and lubrication. When in balance, this kapha influence results in a healthy metabolism, well-distributed fat tissue, good immunity, and a calm, grounded emotional state. Jupiter's expansive nature supports growth in every sense: physical growth during childhood, fertility during adulthood, and the long-term nourishment needed for endurance and vitality. When Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, its nourishing qualities reach their full potential. Individuals with this placement often have strong digestion, well-functioning liver and spleen, a healthy relationship with food, and mental optimism. The kapha here is protective and stabilizing, allowing the body to store energy efficiently without becoming excessive. Emotionally, they exude generosity, security, and a calm presence that supports the health of others too. However, when Jupiter is weak, afflicted, or debilitated, especially in Capricorn, the kapha quality becomes stagnant or distorted. This can lead to excessive fat accumulation, high cholesterol, fatty liver, gallbladder congestion, and even diabetes. In some cases, especially when combined with Vata influences, it can lead to the opposite: malnutrition, underweight, and poor fat absorption, leading to hormonal imbalances and chronic fatigue. Jupiter's influence is also crucial in the endocrine and insulin regulation systems. The pancreas, which produces insulin and regulates blood sugar, is one of the key organs under Jupiter's rulership. When this planet is disturbed, we often see metabolic syndrome, blood sugar irregularities, and weight fluctuations. The liver and spleen, which support detoxification and immunity, also become sluggish, making it harder for the body to eliminate waste and maintain energy balance. Emotionally and mentally, Jupiter governs contentment, trust, and belief systems. A strong Jupiter supports mental clarity, confidence, and the ability to process life experiences with meaning. But a disturbed Jupiter, especially when paired with a toxic lifestyle or negative belief patterns, can manifest as emotional eating, lethargy, self-doubt, or a lack of motivation, all of which can indirectly impair digestive health and metabolic flow. Jupiter's kapha nature also governs fluid balance and lubrication, and when this becomes excessive due to weak fire, Agni, the result may be edema, water retention, and heaviness in the body and mind. Conversely, a dry or overheated system lacking in Jupiter's stabilizing influence may show symptoms like dryness, weakness, or brittle tissues, especially in those with high Vata-Pitta constitutions. When interpreting Jupiter in a birth chart, it's important to assess not just whether the person will be fortunate or wise, but also whether their body has the resilience, nourishment, and metabolic intelligence to sustain growth, immunity, and hormonal balance. A strong Jupiter blesses the body with stored vitality and the mind with hopeful vision. A weak Jupiter warns us of the dangers of excess or deficiency, both physical and emotional. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 7, Venus. Venus, or Shukra, in Vedic astrology is not only the planet of love, harmony, and aesthetics, it is also the ruler of Shukra Dhatu, which corresponds to the body's reproductive fluids, semen in men and ovum in women. But this rulership extends further. Shukra also governs the entire reproductive system, urinary tract, kidneys, and even the skin and eyes, reflecting its role in regulating pleasure, balance, and purification in both physical and emotional dimensions. As a Kapha Graha, Venus embodies qualities of lubrication, coolness, stability, and beauty. In the body, this translates into fertility, hormonal harmony, proper lubrication of tissues, and the ability to rejuvenate and reproduce. A well-placed Venus, especially when exalted in Pisces, brings radiant skin, balanced reproductive hormones, healthy libido, and smooth functioning of the urinary and renal systems. Such individuals often enjoy natural beauty, emotional receptivity, and strong romantic compatibility. Shukra's influence on the kidneys and urinary system is also significant. The kidneys filter blood and regulate fluid balance, and when Venus is strong, this system operates effortlessly. A well-functioning Venus promotes fluid retention in the right proportions, supports detoxification through the urinary tract, and keeps the reproductive system moist and resilient. Its subtle lubrication supports not only physical pleasure, but also emotional connection and creativity. However, when Venus is afflicted or debilitated, particularly in Virgo, the Kapha qualities can either become excessive or dry up altogether. This may lead to hormonal imbalances such as PCOS, irregular menstruation, low libido, infertility, or urinary tract infections. The skin, another Venus-ruled organ, may become dull, oily, acne-prone, or overly sensitive, especially under the influence of Rahu or Mars. Psychologically, Venus affliction can result in emotional detachment, poor self-image, or challenges in intimate relationships. Venus also holds sway over reproductive capacity and sexual vitality. Shukra Dhatu is the final refinement in the Dhatu formation chain. It represents not just the ability to reproduce, but the essence of Ojas, or life force. When this tissue is weak, whether from overexertion, emotional suppression, or poor nutrition, the individual may experience fatigue, premature aging, low sexual energy, or creative stagnation. Venus teaches us that vitality isn't just in action, but in the body's ability to renew and express. While Venus is primarily a Kapha planet, it can also display Vata characteristics when weak or overused. For example, overindulgence in sexual activity, excessive fasting, or emotional withdrawal can deplete Shukra Dhatu and create symptoms like dryness, sexual dysfunction, reproductive weakness, or anxiety. This reflects Venus's need for both connection and moderation. When denied either, imbalance arises. The skin, often called the mirror of Venus, is a diagnostic zone for Venusian health. Oily skin, breakouts, hormonal acne, or excessive dryness all indicate how Venus is functioning in the chart. Similarly, eye health, especially the moisture and clarity of the eyes, can reflect the vitality of Shukra Dhatu. In Jyotish, a glowing face and charming demeanor are considered hallmarks of a strong Venus. So when interpreting Venus in a chart, we're not only gauging a person's capacity for love and beauty, but also their reproductive strength, hormonal balance, renal function, and emotional harmony. Venus in its strength offers effortless attraction and inner glow, but when neglected or misused, it often whispers through imbalances in fertility, skin, and the subtle joy of being in tune with life. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 8, Saturn. Saturn, or Shani, is often seen as the strict teacher in Vedic astrology, governing discipline, delay, and long-term consequences. But within the human body, Shani is the ruler of Mamsa Dhatu, or the muscular system, and its domain extends to the lower limbs, joints, thighs, knees, colon, and skeletal support structures. Saturn doesn't just build physical form, it defines how long that form can endure. He's the architect of longevity, but also of aging and degeneration when his balance is disturbed. Ayurvedically, Shani is the chief Vata Graha, embodying the qualities of air and space, dryness, coldness, and movement. A healthy Saturn supports muscular firmness, joint stability, and structural endurance. People with a strong Saturn in their charts often have lean, durable muscle tone, strong bones, and a disciplined posture. Their bodies may be wiry rather than bulky, but they have the capacity to withstand long-term exertion and hardship, physically and mentally. However, the same Vata qualities that give Shani his structure can also produce imbalance if Saturn becomes afflicted, debilitated, or excessive. This often shows up as chronic stiffness, muscle wasting, joint pain, or degeneration of the spine and knees. Conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, sciatica, and osteoporosis are classic signs of disturbed Saturn energy, especially when coldness and dryness dominate. Saturn's connection to the colon also brings up constipation, bloating, or irritable bowel issues when Vata accumulates. Classical texts note that Saturn rules the muscle tissue, legs, hips, knees, colon, rectum, and joints, all areas tied to movement, strength, and elimination. Weak Saturn can cause poor circulation, cold extremities, restless legs, and loss of tone or endurance. In elderly individuals, Saturn's influence is seen in slowed movement, joint degeneration, and the body's natural shrinkage, Vata at its most tamasic, or static. Interestingly, when Saturn is exalted in Libra, a sign of balance and harmony, it often counteracts its own dryness and rigidity. In this placement, Saturn can offer strong joint health, aligned skeletal structure, and stable digestion. On the other hand, Saturn's debilitation in Aries, a fiery and impulsive sign, may disrupt motor coordination and lead to hyperactivity, fractures, frequent injuries, or restlessness, especially in the lower body. Shani also governs discipline and repetition, which reflects in how muscles grow, not through speed or aggression, but through slow, sustained effort. When Saturn is strong, a person can build strength gradually over time. But when Saturn is weak or under malefic influence, the body struggles to hold its form. It collapses under pressure or deteriorates through lack of consistency. In emotional and psychological terms, Saturn governs resilience and austerity. Just as the physical muscles rely on resistance to grow, the mind requires challenges to mature. When Saturn is weak, we may see fragility, fear of failure, low self-worth, or chronic fatigue syndrome, especially when Vata overtakes Ojas, the vital essence. Supportive Saturn placements, on the other hand, give stoic strength, tolerance for pain, and a body that moves with intention rather than compulsion. So when we read Saturn in a chart, we're looking at much more than hardship. We're evaluating the architecture of the body, the quality of endurance, and the ability to age with strength, grace, and structure intact. Saturn teaches that mastery over the physical body doesn't come from speed. It comes from time, restraint, and the ability to hold one's form against the winds of change. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 9, Rahu and Amplification Effects. Rahu is unlike any other graha in Jyotish. It has no body, no light of its own, just shadow, but in that very quality lies its power. Rahu amplifies. Whatever planet or tissue system Rahu comes into contact with, it doesn't simply modify, it intensifies, exaggerates, distorts, or inflates it beyond its natural limits. This amplification isn't always negative, but it always carries a theme of excess, illusion, or unnatural growth. In the context of the body, Rahu's conjunction with any planet can create sudden surges, abnormal functioning, or obsessions around that planet's domain. When Rahu conjoins the Sun, which rules bones, heart, and vitality, it can magnify ambition, leadership desire, and also trigger autoimmune reactions, hypertension, or structural imbalances. In terms of Asthi Dhatu, Rahu might cause brittle or deformed bones, overcalcification, or an exaggerated spinal posture. It often acts like a magnifying glass, focusing heat and causing the bones to either weaken from excess fire or calcify unnaturally. The person may also exhibit ego inflation or father-related karmic distortions. Placed with the Moon, Rahu affects blood, plasma, and emotional regulation. Since the Moon governs Rakta Dhatu, Rahu's influence can result in blood toxicity, fluctuating hormone levels, abnormal menstrual cycles, or psychosomatic disturbances. On a mental-emotional level, Rahu-Moon combinations are notorious for anxiety, obsession, emotional instability, and delusional attachments. In medical terms, it may lead to manic depressive tendencies or undiagnosed fluid imbalances. When conjoined with Mars, ruler of marrow and nerve tissues, Rahu supercharges Pitta energy. This often results in uncontrolled inflammation, aggressive immunity, autoimmunity, or nerve overstimulation. You may see sudden injuries, skin eruptions, migraines, or neurological hypersensitivity. On a behavioral level, Rahu-Mars can provoke impulsivity, rage episodes, or intense survival responses that wear out the body. The nerves become electric wires sparking wildly. Rahu with Mercury, which governs plasma, skin, and the nervous system, is one of the most intellectually charged yet volatile pairings. Physically, it may trigger speech disorders, allergic skin reactions, or psychosomatic illnesses. People with this combination often overthink, overanalyze, and may experience sensory processing overload. Mercury's adaptability becomes chaotic under Rahu, leading to erratic communication, scattered focus, or mental burnout due to hyperstimulation. With Jupiter, the planet of fat metabolism and growth, Rahu expands kapha qualities unnaturally. This often results in excessive weight gain, diabetes, fatty liver, or hormonal disorders linked to insulin resistance. In charts, this duo can produce a teacher-guru complex with inflated wisdom or spiritual materialism. Physically, the metabolic fire becomes dull and burdened, creating sluggish digestion and fat accumulation that the body can't manage effectively. When Rahu conjoins Venus, ruler of reproductive fluids, kidneys, and hormonal balance, the result is often excess libido, hormonal chaos, PCOS, or infertility issues driven by lifestyle or emotional overstimulation. Skin disorders such as acne, pigmentation, or premature aging are common. The person may chase pleasure in extreme or addictive ways, through relationships, substances, or cosmetic enhancements, straining the Venusian tissues in the process. Finally, Rahu's effect on Saturn, which governs muscle, joints, and the colon, can accelerate degenerative vata conditions. This pairing may cause Parkinsonian tremors, chronic joint stiffness, irregular bowel movements, or muscle wasting. It also tends to increase feelings of isolation, fear, or existential anxiety, reflecting Rahu's shadowy nature mingling with Saturn's dryness and detachment. The colon may experience toxic retention, and rigidity sets in both physically and emotionally. In all these combinations, Rahu doesn't act as a simple malefic. It acts as a force multiplier. It exaggerates whatever traits, functions, or imbalances the associated planet already carries. From an Ayurvedic perspective, Rahu's Vata-Kapha hybrid nature introduces instability with swelling, confusion with stagnation, and illusion with overactivity. Understanding Rahu in medical astrology is crucial because it reveals where the body or mind may be crossing natural thresholds, operating out of proportion, or slipping into a pattern of obsession or denial. Planetary Rulership of Human Body, Part 10, Ketu and Hypofunctional Disruptions. Ketu, the south node of the moon, is often described as headless, body-oriented, and deeply spiritual. Yet in the physical body, it signifies separation, absence, reduction, and hypofunctioning. Where Rahu amplifies, Ketu diminishes. This isn't always negative. Ketu's detachment can be cleansing and purifying. But when it conjoins a planet, it often drains or disconnects that planet's tissue system and function, leading to underperformance, deficiencies, or insensitivities that are hard to detect or explain. When Ketu conjoins the Sun, which rules the bones, spine, heart, and vitality, it often leads to low bone density, weak posture, chronic fatigue, poor circulation, or reduced immunity. The Sun also governs vision and confidence. Ketu can blur both. The individual may struggle with low self-esteem, identity confusion, or cardiac and spinal issues that have no clear external cause. It feels like the internal fire is dimmed or the core vitality is unplugged. With the moon, ruler of blood plasma and emotional fluidity, Ketu induces anemia, low blood volume, irregular menstruation, or emotional numbness. Since the moon also governs the mind and sensory perception, Ketu's influence here can bring emotional detachment, lack of memory, or a blankness of feeling, often mistaken for depression or spiritual withdrawal. The kapha element governed by the moon becomes dry and undernourished, leading to hormonal quietness and shallow sleep. In conjunction with Mars, who governs marrow, nerves, and aggressive immunity, Ketu tends to weaken reflexes, reduce stamina, and disturb heat metabolism. This may present as hypoactive immunity, chronic infections, fatigue syndromes, or nerve desensitization. Instead of fire, there is a cold void where the nervous and muscular systems become sluggish, unresponsive, or disconnected from willpower. Sometimes, such people don't react to danger or pain quickly, physically or emotionally. When Mercury, the planet of plasma, skin, communication, and the sensory nerves, is with Ketu, it can result in speech delays, learning difficulties, sensory dullness, or poor nutrient assimilation. Ketu here may impair vocal clarity, social interaction, and memory processing, giving rise to hypoconnectivity in the nervous system. Psychologically, the person may withdraw from conversation, show little interest in details, or speak in fragmented, disoriented ways. Skin allergies and subtle metabolic slowdowns are also common. Placed with Jupiter, ruler of fat metabolism, growth, and endocrine regulation, Ketu drains the body's reserves. It may show up as malnutrition, weight loss, poor fat absorption, or hormonal deficiency, such as low thyroid or low insulin levels. The liver and pancreas, ruled by Jupiter, may become underactive. Spiritually, this pairing fosters detachment from material life, but physically, it can lead to burnout, low enthusiasm, and a difficulty in sustaining strength or optimism. With Venus, Ketu suppresses reproductive function, sexual desire, kidney vitality, and skin glow. This can result in infertility, low libido, menstrual irregularities, or dry skin and hair. The kidneys may struggle to filter toxins efficiently, and hormonal secretions, estrogen, testosterone, may fall below optimal levels. Emotionally, this often manifests as withdrawal from pleasure, a disinterest in romance, or a bland relationship with beauty and intimacy. Lastly, when Ketu combines with Saturn, which rules muscle, joints, colon, and overall structural stability, the effect is profoundly degenerative. This may manifest as muscle atrophy, chronic constipation, bone weakness, or motor coordination issues. Saturn's grounding force becomes brittle under Ketu's detachment, and one often sees physical decline without clear pathology, or mysterious pains that evade medical explanation. It often reflects karmic remnants in the body, old trauma stored in the tissues. Ketu's Vata-dominant nature introduces dryness, depletion, and silence, both physically and energetically. In Jyotish, Ketu is known to cut or sever, and this same principle applies in health. It cuts off nourishment, sensory clarity, or hormonal rhythm, leading to underactive or dormant physiological responses. Yet this very withdrawal can sometimes indicate a higher purification, one where the body is shifting from physical to subtle energy priorities. In reading Ketu's placement in a health context, we look not for overt dysfunction, but for what's missing, what's silent, and what no longer responds. Ketu doesn't attack, it dissolves, and through that dissolution, it forces us to confront our attachments, not just to health, but to function, sensation, and embodiment itself.